So welcome to lecture 3 of electromagnetic waves. So in this we will be studying about the energy density and intensity followed by the electromagnetic spectrum. So we are beginning with the energy density and intensity. Energy density and intensity. So as we have dealt till now, so we are considering that the expression of electric field is equal to in the y-axis direction, that is E naught sine of omega t minus kx, but it is propagating in the x-axis direction. The variation is in the y-axis direction, and that for magnetic field the variation is in z-axis direction, while the magnetic wave is traveling in the x-axis direction in phase with the electric wave. So considering this aspect, so we are writing these two expression. Now if I write the expression for energy density of electric field, so energy density for electric field, which we have covered in the previous chapters, in electric field, so energy density, that is energy per unit volume for an electric field, is written as half epsilon naught E square. And similarly, if I write the energy density in magnetic field, so energy density in magnetic field, that is energy per unit volume, is written as 1 by 2 mu naught of B square. So these are the two expressions which we have already come across while studying energy stored in a capacitor and energy stored in an inductor respectively. So if I write the energy density, the total energy density for an electromagnetic wave, the total energy density for EM waves, then the total energy density is equal to sum of the electric field energy density and magnetic field energy density. So if I substitute the value of E square and B square in the expression over here, that is equation 1 and 2, so the total value of energy density, the total energy density expression can then be written as half epsilon naught of E square can be written as E naught square sine square of omega t minus kx, and the other part, that is 1 by 2 mu naught, and b square can be written as b naught square of sine square omega t minus kx. So this is what is reduced to the two expressions. Now if we consider the average value of the sine square function over a long interval of time, average value of sine square term or sine square function over a long time interval, then the value is equal to half, and hence I can say that the average value of energy density, the total energy density, can be written as half of epsilon naught E naught square, the sine square term is put as half, and 1 by 2 mu naught B naught square, and again the sine square function is put as half. So the value is written as 1 by 4 times of epsilon naught E naught square plus 1 by 4 mu naught of B naught square. So this is the average value of energy density that we attain. This is the first complete energy density which we have attained. we will be modifying this expression into different ways. So now we are using the expression which we deduced from Faraday's law in the previous lecture, that is E naught is equal to C B naught. So we are using the expression E naught is equal to C B naught from Faraday's law, which I am terming as equation A over here. And the another one was that C is equal to 1 by root over mu naught epsilon naught. From here I can say that the value of 1 by C square is equal to mu naught epsilon naught. So we can definitely convert the energy density in terms of magnetic field or in terms of electric field. That is, I can surely write from here the two values, that is U average, the total value of U average in terms of electric field will be reduced to 1 by 4 times of epsilon naught E naught square, plus over here I can say that 1 by mu naught can be written as epsilon naught C square, and B naught square can be written as E naught square by C square. So we have used these two expressions, that is equation A and B, to get this value over here. So 1 by 4 times of epsilon naught E naught square and 1 by 4 times of epsilon naught E naught square is given as half of epsilon naught E naught square. So the entire equation is converted in terms of electric field variation, and similarly this one we are calling as equation number 4. So similarly I can say that we can convert this expression in terms of magnetic field. So in terms of magnetic field it will come out as 1 by 4 mu naught B naught square plus 1 by 4 mu naught B naught square, that is equal to 1 by 2 mu naught B naught square. So with this one we are terming as equation number 5. So to obtain this we have just substituted that E naught is equal to C B naught, and then the another term epsilon naught is equal to 1 by mu naught C square. So if we do these two substitution, then we get this fifth equation. Now from the two equations that we have attained, that is the fourth and the sixth one big note can be written over here. One big note can be written over here, that the value of average electric energy density is equal to the magnetic energy density. So I am writing the electric energy density is equal to the magnetic energy density in average. The magnetic energy density in average. So this is a very important point, important note. It must be very well kept in mind that the average value for both the electric energy density is equal to the magnetic energy density. So considering this, now we are calculating the intensity. So if we come to the calculation of intensity of an electromagnetic wave. So intensity is defined as the energy crossing per unit area per unit time perpendicular to the direction of propagation of the wave. So we define it as the energy crossing per unit area per unit time perpendicular to the direction of propagation of the wave. So for this particular part, I am considering that imaginary cylinder through which this electromagnetic wave is being transmitted. So in this small time interval which we are selecting, that is dt time, so we are considering that the cross sectional area is equal to A, and in dt time the distance which the electromagnetic wave travels while it is traveling with the speed of light c can be treated as c delta t. So from the value of average energy density, so we can say that the total energy that is passing is equal to the average energy density into the volume. So the volume is going to be c delta t into a, and the intensity is equal to energy per unit area per unit time. So we are dividing it by a delta t, and hence the value is coming out to be u average into c. And in terms of electric field, so we are writing only in terms of electric field over here. If you wish to write it in terms of magnetic field, you can surely do it. In terms of maximum electric field, we can put u average value is half of epsilon naught e naught square, and then we multiply it by c. Or if you wish to write it in terms of maximum magnetic field, then this value is reduced to 1 by 2 mu naught b naught square c. So this is the value of intensity I, which we have calculated for the electromagnetic wave. So let us begin with the discussion on electromagnetic spectrum. Electromagnetic spectrum and its classification. So now we generally tend to say that electromagnetic spectrum is divided into two parts, that is visible and invisible spectrum. But that will be a too childish thing to say, because the invisible spectrum is a very large or much broader classification in comparison to visible spectrum. So the first thing that I am doing over here is that I am naming the electromagnetic spectrum in increasing order of their wavelength or decreasing order of their frequency. So that is we are beginning in this way. That is, first of all, I am naming gamma rays, then I am naming X rays, then we have ultraviolet rays, then over here we have visible light, then down here we have infrared, rays, microwaves, and then last we have radio waves. So last one we have is radio waves. And over here in between I am breaking this visible light also in this way. So we are saying that over here is red, and on the upper side is violet, and the VIBGYOR is in between. VIBGYOR is in between. So as we move down this series, we say that wavelength increases, or we say that as we move down this series, frequency decreases, but the speed of electromagnetic wave remains the same in vacuum, which is 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. So be it any type of the electromagnetic spectrum, the speed remains the same. So now there are some common properties which are common to all the electromagnetic waves. So the first one which I am mentioning is that electromagnetic waves do not require any material medium for their propagation. The next one is they all travel with the same speed in medium, that is vacuum, with 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. The next one is they exhibit the properties of reflection and refraction. In refraction, when an electromagnetic wave passes from one medium to the other, there is the change in its direction of travel, speed and wavelength, but its frequency remains unchanged. So on refraction, the frequency of electromagnetic wave remains unchanged. The other parameter, that is its speed and wavelength, will certainly change. The next one is these waves are not deflected by the electric and magnetic field. Although they have the electric and magnetic component in it, but they cannot be separated or they cannot be deflected by electric and magnetic fields. And the last property common to them is that they are transverse in nature. So these waves are transverse in nature. So the sequence of this electromagnetic spectrum which we have drawn must be remembered in increasing order of wavelength or decreasing order of frequency. One possible question is that they are jumbled and asked in some possibilities. Now we will be discussing about each one of them taken at a time. So let us begin with the discussion on gamma rays. So if we talk about gamma rays, so they have the wavelength which is less than 0.01 nanometer. The speed is obviously comparable to the speed of light or equal to speed of light, 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. Now if I name the discoverer, so it was discovered by the combined work of Becquerel and Curie. So they are the discoverer behind the gamma rays. Next we talk about the source of the gamma rays. So the source, they are obtained in radioactive emissions when the nucleus of radioactive atoms pass from the excited state to the ground state. They are also present in cosmic radiations. So over here I am just naming from radioactive substance and cosmic radiation. So I am repeating one more time. They are obtained in radioactive emissions when the nucleus of radioactive atoms pass from the excited state to the ground state, and they are also present in cosmic radiations. And the next thing is what is the method of detection? So they are detected because of their high penetrating power. High penetrating power. So they are detected because of their high penetrating power. They have properties like X-rays. They cause fluorescence when they strike the fluorescent material such as zinc sulfide, and they can easily penetrate through the thick metallic sheets. They can pass through 30 centimeter thick iron sheet, and gamma radiations easily pass through human body and cause immense biological damage. If we talk about the usage of gamma rays, so they are used in medical science to kill cancer cells, that is radiotherapy, and in industry to perform welding. So this is all about gamma rays. Next, we begin our discussion on X-rays. So now if we talk about X-ray, the wavelength range from for X-ray is from 0.01 nanometer to 10 nanometer. It also travels with the speed of light, and this was discovered by Wilhelm Conrad Rontgen. So the X-ray was discovered as a converse phenomena of a photoelectric effect. So in case of a photoelectric effect, a light ray or an electromagnetic ray which is striking a metal plate will emit photoelectrons. So Rontgen thought of the converse. That is, he said that if we bombard highly energetic electron beams on a heavy metal target, then is it possible to obtain electromagnetic waves? And the result was that from a heavy metal target of high melting point, when highly energetic electrons are bombarded on it, then they emit X rays which have a wavelength ranging from 0.01 nanometer to 10 nanometer. The next thing that we say is that the X-rays are chemically more active than the ultraviolet radiations. They are more active than the ultraviolet radiations. They also produce a fluorescence in the certain materials such as zinc sulfide and can penetrate through human flesh but are stopped by the bones. So since they are stopped by the bones, they find application in X-rays analysis. They find application in X-ray analysis in medical sciences. They are also used for the detection of fracture in bones and teeth, and for the diagnostic purpose such as CT scan and medical sciences. So X-rays are also used for crystal analysis. For atomic arrangement in crystals also we used X-ray. So X-ray analysis is done for bones, for atomic crystals, and for also getting us the X-ray of bones and teeth. So these are the various uses of X-rays. So next we deal with ultraviolet radiations. Ultraviolet radiations. So if we talk about ultraviolet radiation, so the wavelength range is from 10 nanometer to 400 nanometer. So it ranges from 10 nanometer to 400 nanometer, and the discoverer behind the ultraviolet radiation is Ritter. Now the source of ultraviolet radiation is generally sunlight, arc lamp or a spark. Sunlight is a huge source of UV radiation. Sunlight, arc lamp or a certain spark or a sparking that is generated. Now the next thing that we talk about is that if a silver chloride solution is exposed to the electromagnetic waves, is starting from the red to the violet end and then beyond it, it is observed that the red to violet end the solution remains almost unaffected, but just below, beyond the violet end the solution first turns violet and then finally it becomes dark brown or black. So the detection is done using a silver chloride solution. Silver chloride solution. I am repeating the observation back again. So when the silver chloride solution is exposed to the electromagnetic waves or the electromagnetic spectrum, starting from red to the violet end and then beyond it, it is observed from the red to the violet end the solution remains almost unaffected, but just beyond the violet end, that is the ultraviolet part, the solution first turns violet and then becomes dark brown. So it turns violet and then becomes dark brown in color or black. Dark brown in color or black. They are also detected by their chemical activity on dyes and photographic plate. So this is basically the detection portion of ultraviolet radiation. And as I already stated, sun is the biggest source of ultraviolet radiation. Ultraviolet radiation can pass through quartz, but they are absorbed by glass. It must also be noted that they can pass through quartz, but is absorbed by glass. They can pass through quartz, but absorbed by glass. So this is the detail about ultraviolet radiations that we have come across. If we talk about the usage of ultraviolet radiation, then they are used for sterilizing purposes, for detecting the purity of gems, eggs or ghee, in producing vitamin D in food of plants and animals. So this is the usage of ultraviolet radiation. The next that we discuss is something which we will be studying more about, that is visible light. So when I say visible light, we tend to study it in the terms of VIBGYOR. So over here, as we move down, the wavelength increases. If we talk about the range, so the range is from 4000 angstrom to 8000 angstrom, and they all travel with the speed of light, that is 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second in vacuum. In vacuum. So the visible part of the spectrum, the discovery was done by Newton. So the visible spectrum was discovered by Newton. So it was discovered by Newton. And if I talk about the source, then almost everything which we are able to see is a part of visible light, that is the sun, electric bulb, flame, white hot bodies. They are all the main sources of visible light. If you talk about the usage of visible light, then it is the most important thing for us. The visible light is used in photography, in photosynthesis, and to see objects around us, obviously. So let us deal with infrared radiations. We are dealing with infrared radiations. So if we talk about the infrared radiation, so the first thing that we discuss is the wavelength range. So it ranges from 800 nanometer to 10 to the power 6 nanometer. So it covers a huge range. 800 nanometer to 10 to the power 6 nanometer, and it was discovered by Herschel. So it was discovered by William Herschel in about 1800. So the detection, if we talk about the detection parts, I am mentioning a few points. So if a thermometer having its bulb blackened, if its thermometer having its bulb blackened is moved from the violet end towards the red end of the spectrum of visible light, it is observed that there is a very slow rise in temperature. But when this thermometer is moved beyond the red extreme, there is a rapid rise in temperature. So this becomes the first part for the detection of infrared radiation. There is a strong heating effect that is generated beyond the visible portion of the spectrum. The next one is a thermopile can also be used to detect the heat radiation. The galvanometer connected with the thermopile shows deflection when infrared radiations fall on the thermopile. The spectrum of infrared radiation is obtained by using rock salt prism. They are obtained using a rock salt prism, which does not absorb the infrared radiation, whereas it glass prism absorbs it. So we use a rock salt prism whenever we wish to obtain infrared radiation in the spectrum. If we talk about the sources of infrared radiation, so all red hot bodies are example of infrared radiators. Flame, fire, etc. are the sources of infrared radiation. Sun is also regarded as the natural source of infrared radiation. Sun is also regarded as the source of infrared radiations. If we talk about the usage, then the first thing that we talk about is they find application in photography in fog. They find application in photography in fog because they are not much scattered and can penetrate appreciably. They are not much scattered and can penetrate appreciably. So this makes it uh, them for photography in fog, or are used in dark rooms for developing photography plates. They are also used in dark rooms for developing photography plates. They are used as signals during the war, as they are not visible and they are not absorbed much in the medium. So they are also used for signal during the war, and are used in remote control sensors of television and other gadgets. Remote control sensors of television and other gadgets. The next we discuss about is microwaves. So if we talk about the microwave, then they are ranging in the wavelength from 10 to the power 7 angstrom to 10 to the power 11 angstrom. So this is the range of microwaves. They are produced by electronic devices such as crystal oscillators. So they are produced by crystal oscillators, and it was invented by Hertz. It was discovered by Hertz, not invented, discovered by Hertz. They are prepared or generated using electronic devices such as crystal oscillators. They are used for satellite communication. The best usage is satellite communication. Moreover, we are also using it for cooking. That is, microwave ovens are used for cooking as well. They find application in radar communication, in satellite communication, and obviously cooking is one function of or usage of microwave, and it was discovered by Hertz. The last one, that is radio waves. So if we talk about radio waves, so these are the waves of longest wavelength. These are the waves of longest wavelength, and that is the wavelength is above 10 meter or 10 to the power 11 angstrom. 10 to the power 11 angstrom, and they have a frequency of 3 into 10 to the power 7 hertz. So frequency is 3 into 10 to the power 7 hertz, and the wavelength is of the order of 10 to the power 11 angstrom. They are mainly used for mass communication. They are mainly used for mass communication. When I say mass communication, I mean to say that they are used in, as a device is called as radio, or in the television emission, and the discoverer was Marconi. So the development of radio waves was done by Marconi. So this is all about the electromagnetic spectrum, in which we have done detailed study about the properties of all the electromagnetic waves, and a detailed study about each one of them.